Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Dependent Fanatic channel. We're talking about Big 12 schedules right now, and we're ranking them. We did the ACC a couple days ago, we did the SEC last week, and the Big 10 the week before. I'm trying to condense these so I can get to some more content. I'm going to do the Pac-12 and maybe the American Conference. Houston and Cincinnati and UCF and all them. That's turning out to be a pretty good conference. So for the Big 12, the lowest team, I'll just tell you right now, is a 75 strength of schedule. Texas ties with Vanderbilt for the hardest schedule I've done so far at 99. And this number comes from wins versus their opponents, or wins their opponents had last season. And 10 win opponents from last season I'll have listed right here, like Texas plays Alabama, UTSA, Texas San Antonio was a 12-2 last year, Oklahoma State, and Baylor. So I'm just gonna you guys can see all that, and I'm just going to go down and show you the ranking. But first of all, like I said, the lowest team was 75, and that ties with Alabama. The lowest team in the Big 12 ties with Alabama's strength of schedule. They beat Georgia. Georgia is at 71. They beat Michigan. Michigan's at 71. So the lowest team outranks three of the four, probably all four playoff teams' schedules from last year. That's just the schedules. You got to go win the games, but if you win them, you're going to get in over these playoff teams. All right, I'm just laying that out there. And the Big 12 obviously has no 60 strength of schedule teams, which the SEC doesn't either. The Big 10 has 2, and the ACC has 5. So, let's not slouch on what the Big 12 is doing, and I know they're going to expand. I know they're going to be adding Cincinnati and adding BYU and all these other great 10-win teams from last year, but that's not right now. This is just from last year. So number one, sorry to bore you with all that, but number one is Texas. They were 5-7 last year, 3-6 in conference. Like I said, 99 ties the toughest schedule in the nation. They start with ULM. They have Alabama at home, UTSA all at home. At Texas Tech, West Virginia at home. They have Oklahoma in the county fair, the Red Rivalry. They have Iowa State at home, at Oklahoma State, at Kansas State, TCU, at Kansas, and Baylor at home. The next team is Texas Tech. And Texas Tech went 7-6 last year, 3-6 in the Big 12. They have an 89. They have Murray State, Houston. Houston went 12-2 last year. At NC State, who went 9-3 last year. Texas at home. At Kansas State. Oklahoma State, West Virginia, Baylor, TCU, Kansas, at Iowa State, Oklahoma. Next up is Kansas. And Kansas was 2-10 last year, and they have the third hardest schedule for the Big 12. They were 2-10, 1-8. They have an 88 strength of schedule. At Houston, at Oklahoma, at Baylor, and Oklahoma State at home are their toughest ones. But they have Tennessee something at home, at West Virginia, at Houston, Duke, Iowa State, TCU, at Oklahoma, at Baylor, Oklahoma State, at Texas Tech, Texas, and at Kansas State. Pretty brutal there. And like every other conference, Georgia can't play themselves. Michigan can't play themselves and give them 14 and 12 wins for this, It just shakes out how it is. Basically, this monitors non-conference or in-conference strength. And number 4 is West Virginia in the Big 12. 6-7 last year, 4-5. They have an 86. They have, let's see here. They have at Pitt to start off. At Pitt. Kansas at home, Towson, at Virginia Tech, at Texas, Baylor, at Texas Tech, TCU, at Iowa State, Oklahoma, Kansas State, at Oklahoma State. That's pretty tough. Still, as we go down the line, we got TCU at number 5. We're still in the 80s. They went 5-7 last year, 3-6 in the league. They have an 82 strength of schedule at Colorado, Tarleton, I believe, something like that. At SMU, Oklahoma at home, at Kansas, Oklahoma State at home, Kansas State at home, at West Virginia, Texas Tech at home, at Texas, at Baylor, and they finish with Iowa State at home. The 6th toughest schedule in the Big 12 belongs to Iowa State. They have Southeast Missouri, I believe, at home. What holds theirs up is at Iowa. At Iowa's 10-win team. Ohio at home, Baylor at home, at Kansas, Kansas State at home, at Texas, Oklahoma at home, West Virginia at home, at Oklahoma State, Texas Tech, and at TCU. All right, and now we finally see Oklahoma with the 4th easiest schedule, I believe, in the Big 12, but it's still an 81. They were 11-2 last year, 7-2. They have an 81. They have UTEP at home, Kent State, at Nebraska. So that's their non-conference right there. Kansas State at home, at TCU, versus Texas, Kansas at home, at Iowa State, Baylor, at West Virginia, Oklahoma State, and at Texas Tech. Hard to believe, but yeah, it adds up to 81. So, not a lot of, like you see there, only 2 10-win teams from last year, but some bowl games, fringe bowl teams, all add up. They're better than 2-3 and 1-somethings. Oklahoma State comes in at number 8, and they were 12-2 last year, 8-1, and they have an 80. They have Baylor, I just did that one. Nope, I'm doing that one right now. CMU, Arizona State, Arkansas Pine Bluff, at Baylor, Texas Tech, at TCU, Texas, at Kansas State, at Kansas, Iowa State, at Oklahoma, West Virginia. So we're getting down here to the nitty-gritty, and Baylor comes in with the 2nd easiest schedule. And they have Albany, at BYU, Texas State, at Iowa State, Oklahoma State, at West Virginia, Kansas, at Texas Tech, at Oklahoma, Kansas State, TCU, and at Texas is where they finish. And that was the first team. So that you got 8 teams in the 80s here for the Big 12. Like I said, they're not slouching at all. I like their schedules. South Dakota, they're playing Missouri. Kansas State is, who comes in with the easiest schedule at 75. They have Tulane at home, at Oklahoma, Texas Tech, at Iowa State, at TCU, Oklahoma State at home, Texas at home, at Baylor, at West Virginia, and they finish with in-state rival Kansas. So it's pretty interesting schedules here. If it wasn't for them, I think non-con would be pretty boring. The Big Ten really didn't do much. Ohio State's playing Notre Dame instead of Michigan this year. Other than that, the Big Ten's kind of lackluster. The SEC, the ACC, kind of lackluster. The Big 12, from what I noticed, has played the least amount of FCS opponents too. At least they're playing group of 5. So I commend the Big 12 for their scheduling, and that's how it shakes out. And I hope you all have a great day.